Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Friday, January 5th, 2023. Our first episode that we're recording in the new year, so happy New Year's again to you all. We hope you had a happy and safe New Year's. Happy's a little bit hard for us to say that maybe fans of Philadelphia probably didn't really have a happy beginning, nor a happy end to last year. Kind of a bummer. We're still reeling, right, Dad?
Oh, for sure. It was just, we're in part of this epic, I don't want to say collapse, but we're there.
No, it's true.
It's just hard to fathom. It's hard to believe, but we're here. This is where we're at.
Yeah.
This is what we are. A lot of people are saying, this is who you are. You can't change it. If this is the way we look, this is what's happened. It can't be a surprise because all year we failed to put a team away. All year. You and I were waiting for that. Hey, man, we're up by 30 points. We got a nice little fourth quarter to sit through here. Yeah. No, every single game, good teams, bad teams, horrible teams, listless teams with no direction. We can't put them away. We don't know what we're doing. We go up, and then, even this week, we're going to get up, hopefully, and I won't rest. I will not rest.
No, we're going to be mad
until there's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
It's true. Yeah, it's a bummer. Yeah, we're pretty angry over here. It's hard to get excited for this next game. It's hard to get excited for the playoffs.
Playoffs.
I know a lot of people, after the A.J. Brown speech, and I know you listened to it, and so did I, and after his talk with the media, a lot of people were getting kind of remotivated and excited and like, now we're going to hit the ground running and stuff, and let's hope so, but I can't get excited on words. I need actions. You know what I mean? And we haven't shown action in about 6 or 7 weeks of football recently. So just hard to get excited, but we'll try our best. We'll be watching, of course, as always.
I do hate saying that because, watching those games, there's some players that were playing their butts off.
Yeah.
But, you look on the sidelines, just the play calling itself. And then when you start seeing, you could tell the players were questioning the calls.
Yeah.
And that's when it gets ugly. And that's when you start, you're doing everything you can not to, get down on these guys. But my goodness, at the end of the game there, they're just the drives and the play calling, unbelievably poor.
Yeah.
Unbelievably poor.
But as always, before we jump into it, we want to give a little plug to the club. We are part of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs. It's a page on Facebook. If you're living in around the area and you're an Eagles fan or a Philadelphia sports fan, go ahead and join it. They'll ask you some questions, and they'll let you in. If you want to watch a game with us, come on down to Frankie's Bar and Grill over on Powers and Galley here in Colorado Springs. We'd love to see you there. We'll come say hi to you, high-five you. I always tell people, I'll be like, hey, we'll be around, high-five. If I meet new people, I tell them, we'll be around, high-fiving, hugging, fist bump. And we haven't had the chance to in the last 6-7 weeks. We really haven't had that. I know in the pick six last week was kind of the most exciting time we'd had in weeks, and even that's now been ruined. Well, sorry, Sidney Brown.
Yeah, I can't watch that highlight ever again.
I know, it's a bummer.
When we scored it, you and I both jumped up, and then I just sat right back down and went, that's good, but let's go, man. We gotta win the game, not just look. And you could tell, early on the Cardinals were just continually moving the ball,
just running,
even when they got 2 field goals, kind of like we did against the Niners there weeks ago. And it looked like something was going to happen in that game, but they continued to just roll.
Whilst looking at my template from last week's episode, 2 weeks ago episodes, when we did the preview for the Cardinals game, I kind of, sometimes, we do a lot of episodes, so I kind of forget what I said on a recent episode. And I was looking at the preview for the Eagles-Cardinals one, and you know what I chose for my matchup of the game?
What's that?
It was Eagles versus tackling. And I was correct. That was the matchup of the game because they couldn't tackle.
Oh.
They had 13 missed tackles last week.
That's in the first quarter. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was horrible.
It was bad. Let's just jump into it, though. Eagles are playing the New York Giants in New York, the worst stadium in human history. Sunday, 4:25 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:25 p.m. here in Colorado Springs. It's a bummer to see our players going back into the Met. I hate seeing them play in New York. We've seen so many injuries this season. We don't want to create this, but that's where Lane got hurt earlier this year.
That's right.
That's where we lost our first game earlier this year to the Jets. So I hate that stadium more than
Well, you're not the only one. So you're not the only one. It's definitely
that's Aaron Rodgers' energy.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Vet in the old days. Every week you'd hear about it. You'd hear the national media talking about it, and it was kind of embarrassing even for us, and I'm sure for them. That now that they've got the worst stadium in the league, and it just needs to be replaced. They need to get a real stadium. They need to move it into the city. You know what I mean? Like they got to stop playing in New Jersey. Oh yeah, they play. You know, the New Jersey Generals, the New Jersey Jets and Giants, and I'm sure that's a sore spot for the team, but it's an awful stadium. It goes back to the '70s stadiums. Really.
Veteran Stadium, the Vet. It ruined Mike Quick's career.
Oh, well, yes, it didn't help.
His career was. He's probably AJ Brown now is, but he's probably one of the Eagles' best wide receivers, probably top 3, maybe top 2.
Pure talent, definitely.
But his career was so short-lived because he played at the freaking Vet.
But I could, those of us that are old could tell you a multitude of players that were injured. Of course, that's where Michael Irvin's career ended. But there was just so many players that hated to play there. I mean, they had a preseason game canceled once a long time ago against the Ravens. It might have been it was Baltimore.
But let's go ahead and jump into a weather watch, Dad. What do you have for the weather?
So it's not going to be a good day. It's going to be a cold day. I think that the wind chill is going to be in the 20s, high of 38, but that's barely. Good mix. You're going to maybe rain, snow mix. They're right on the border there for it being snow or rain. Winds, let's see, I got 8 miles per hour, as high as 17 mile per hour gusts. It's not going to be good. So, again, we've said it all season. You're going to have to be able to run the ball with confidence.
Yeah.
And, get to, it's going to be hard to throw the ball because it's going to be wet and just a miserable, probably the most miserable game. And we played in some big rainstorms this year, but it wasn't as cold back then. It was only in the 40s or 50s, but this is going to be a cold, wet, miserable.
Snow, cold, in the Met.
Everything.
I hate this so much.
It's awful. And I did another weather check real quick down for in Washington, D.C. to see what that game is going to be about, because I know there's going to be a lot of, fans that feel we still have a shot at getting the East. The boys are playing down there in the Commanders in D.C., but that's going to be 47 degrees for a high, winds 10 to 15, no moisture. It's not going to be a rainy game or anything like that.
The good news is that's also one of the worst fields in the world.
Yeah,
the FedEx Field.
And the field and the stadium itself, it's falling apart.
Hopefully they encounter some of the same
winds,
hardships that we do.
Yeah.
That way we're all on level playing field.
I don't know about you, but I don't have much hope in that at all. I know you were talking about earlier listening to WIP the other.
Yeah, so today I was in drive up at work, which means we can kind of listen to the radio and everything. And so I was listening to 94 WIP, which for Eagles fans, you would know that's the Philadelphia sports talk show back in Philly in the area. It's kind of the biggest one, along with the Fanatic 97.5. But 94 WIP, there's a lot of call-ins, and I actually tried calling in. I got on hold, but I couldn't wait that long. I had to do some work, but it was kind of fun. But
nice try.
Nice try, yeah. Some people called in, and man, there was a lot of hopefuls and a lot of believers thinking that Washington's going to beat Dallas, and I'm like, I just focus on winning our game,
please. Please.
I just can't right now. I can't stress myself out by having another game to watch and stress out about. I just can't.
Well, this year we've had a lot of that where we probably have been guilty of it more than most, but, especially to the new viewers out there, every week we talked about who we need to win and who needs to lose. And instead of just worrying about our own self. And I mean, it's only been the last 3 weeks that our mantra was just win this game. Don't worry about anybody else. Because, we were in the driver's seat, which does not happen often. And we drove the car right off into the ditch.
Yep.
It wasn't even snowing out. I mean, so it was just an awful way. And being a big Eagles fan like yourself and, having it out there, wearing the gear, it's been a rough week. Just everyone that I know back in where I grew up there in Philly and then down in Phoenix where I lived for a long time, sending me text messages. Oh, the Eagles don't look good. You think?
Yeah.
Even today.
I do a podcast about them.
Yeah,
I know.
Even at work today, we had a meeting that we have every other week. And so it was everybody's the first one I've been on in a while. And, hey, what happened to your Eagles? And you just want, a couple Cowboy fans on, we're in the Southwest here. So, that's the way it's going to be.
So they've never been to Texas, but of course they're fans.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bummer. Well, one of the guys, he's New Mexico, but he went to one of the games earlier this year. And of course we razzed them because I think they lost. But anyway.
Yeah.
Besides the point.
All-time series, right? This is a hard episode to kind of talk about because we just played the Giants 2 weeks ago. So there's not much, we know the matchups, we know the record, but all-time series record, we're now 93, 87-2 because we won last time. 3-2 in the playoffs. Last 25 years, we're now 35-20 in our 55 matchups. So, yay, we got another win against them.
Right. Well, he needs them.
Again, this is a hard episode, this is a hard game to look forward to, not just because of the Cardinals game last week, but because of the Giants game 2 weeks ago. and the Seattle game 3 weeks ago, and no, I'm just kidding. The Giants game 2 weeks ago was just brutal. We go into the half. Was it 20-3 at that point, or 21-3?
No, it's 23.
20-3. We go into the half.
21-6 last week.
Yeah, there we go. 20-3 going into the half against the Giants, and then the fumble. And I know there's some fluke plays you can talk about. The fumble, Goddard slipped. Maybe it's his fault. Whatever,
right.
You know. But it's hard to get excited when we played a game like we did last time that went down to the wire against one of the worst teams in the league.
Right.
And then, of course, last week losing to the possibly the second or third worst team in the league.
On paper, the worst team in the league. The Cardinals are only 4-12. And you know what? I am really going to hope they lose this week. I'm going to be watching that game, and I do not like Gannon anymore.
That's brutal, though.
I know
well, none of us like Gannon, but
it's
brutal because you hate Seattle, so it's going to be hard for you to do that.
I'll take Seattle in a heartbeat. I'll put money on the game. I just want to see them lose. I'm just tired of this.
I agree with that.
Being nice about things, it just drives me nuts. But
especially
awful.
Obviously we've told people, he's from Philly, but we've lived in Phoenix, Arizona for before
30 years.
I've lived here 2 years. He's lived here a year. But 30 years. We were there. I was born and raised in the same household in Phoenix, Arizona, my whole life, and I hate the Cardinals. We always tried to cheer for them, but we always found reasons not to hate them. I cheered for Pittsburgh. I did in the Super Bowl. The Cardinals of Pittsburgh. I did. I cheered for Pittsburgh. My grandma's from Pittsburgh. Sue me.
Right.
I couldn't cheer for Arizona. I hate the Cardinals, and it's funny.
I used to tell you the stories why I hate the Cardinals.
Yeah,
I used to go to the games a lot because it was right there, and the Eagles would come every year.
They would always win when
every
we were
time
good.
They had a situation where they could win over the fans, and I'm talking 20 times. I'd go to a Saturday day game, which they didn't have much in those days. They're playing Denver. Half the stadium's Denver, and I'm with my Cardinal friends, because I'm at the Cardinals game, and we'd lose to Denver. We lost to the Cowboys. We lose to Washington. I mean, there's so many games I went to as a Cardinal fan with Cardinal fans because we're from there, and every single time they disappointed. Every single time. The one game I didn't go to, I had some school stuff to take care of. I gave my brother my ticket, and the 49ers and the Cardinals played in. It's a famous game. The Cardinals came back from like 20 down and won 24-23 in the last second pass. Big time game. It was on the radio when I was doing this homework I had to do for school.
Yeah.
And I missed the game. So they finally won a game when they brought some fans. But they always and Bidwell was one of the worst owners in the league. The old man, Bill.
Yeah. Well, speaking of worst owners in the league, Washington, speaking about the Dallas-Washington game, there's a lot of speculation about, Josh Harris. He's one of the owners of the Philadelphia 76ers and partial owner of the Washington Commanders. And a lot of people are thinking what if the Commanders say they go up and then they pull a 2020 Eagles, or no, not 2020. 2020 Eagles, and they pull out their starters and let Dallas take over.
Right.
And it was like, man, they were saying that I think it was Joe Giglio. No, I'm sorry. I can't remember.
Well, we did that against the Giants.
Against Washington.
I mean, I'm sorry.
The Giants were
last
mad
game of the season. Right.
Giants were mad because they're like, the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
As if they hadn't sucked for years.
And we were looking for draft picks.
But it's just funny. They're saying if Josh Harris does that, man, oh my gosh, they're gonna,
the uproar.
The Sixers stadium is going to be uprooted. They're not going to get that stadium. It was just kind of funny. But, so hard to talk about last game because it sucked.
Yes,
it was not fun to watch. They like you said off camera before. They took their quarterback out and they put in Tyrod Taylor.
Right.
And it's kind of funny. In the last few years, I've always been more worried about that.
Because it happens to us.
It always happens to us. They take out their starter and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
The backup's better.
Most people are like, oh, the backup's in. You're going to kill him now.
Yeah, but Tyrod Taylor's way better than Tommy DeVito.
Doesn't happen.
Which blows my mind. Why would they were playing DeVito over Tyrod Taylor all that time? They could have been stacking up possible wins.
Yeah.
I don't understand that, but
Danny Dimes is their quarterback of the future. They paid him for the next 4 years.
Yeah. So let's just hope it's better than last game. I don't have much faith. I mean, I told you last week on this podcast, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't win another game the rest of the season. I do think we'll win, but I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't.
Right.
Next debate, Dad.
It'd be heartbreak, but I'm like you. I mean, we're going to watch the game. We're going to see what happens, and we're going to know pretty early in that game what's going down.
Yeah. Next debate, Dad. What I heard from people calling into 94 WIP today and a lot of stuff on Twitter the last few days, do you start or sit your starters?
Well, first of all, if we were winning games 40-2, I would pull my starters, but we need to win the game. We need to get some semblance of especially on the defensive side. But we need to move the ball. We need to get our identity back. We got to figure things out.
Yeah.
Now, yes, if we do go up 28 to whatever, and Tyrod's throwing the ball out of the stadium, and dropping it and falling all over the place, which is what I expected to happen with our pressure from our defense the first time we played him.
Which didn't happen, yeah.
But no, well, Tommy D looked awful in the first half, but then they changed quarterbacks on us, and we're like we're playing with slippers on. I don't understand it. But anyway, yeah, I say if we go up big, I might rest a few of the linemen, a few of the guys that deserve it, maybe a Fletcher Cox or something, but the rest of the guys got to play. The offensive line's got to play.
Yeah.
You could maybe take Kelsey out, but again,
for sure, yeah,
you got to be up, and just the way we've been playing. Even the first time we played the Giants, that game was in hand until you fumble the second half kickoff.
Yeah,
that's another thing. We better just
start
putting our hands up and leave that balls go into the end zone. Stop running the kick out.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's not working.
I agree with you. You got to start them. And
Definitely.
There's been a lot of debate about that. People think they should sit. People think they should start. And now there's valid arguments to both sides because number one, if you want to sit your players because the last game of the season, we're playing in the worst possible field in NFL history. We're playing in the worst conditions at the worst field in NFL history.
And there's no change. You're not going to change anything.
We're playing against the dirty Giants. No, I'm just kidding.
But
we're playing against we're playing in that stadium, and it's just why the risk? We already lost Devontae last week. He's out for the game, but he will be back. He looks like he's getting better, but it's just one of those things. But you have to start him because these guys have sucked, and that's not putting it. That's not putting it harshly. That's kind of putting it lightly. These guys have sucked the last 5 weeks. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5 weeks. We sucked the last 5. 5.5. The Buffalo game wasn't great. I know we had the great comeback at the end of the game. It was cool and everything.
We moved the ball well.
But it wasn't like we were playing amazing in that game.
No.
5.5 weeks. We've been terrible. We've sucked. You have to play these guys. They need as much practice in a game as possible.
Yeah, and the best case scenario would be going up big, and then letting the young guys who we've talked about just go.
See, I'd agree with you on that.
Release the hounds.
I'd agree with you on that. Like if we went up big, Cox, you're out of the game.
Right.
Graham, get out.
Milton
Kelsey,
Williams,
get
Johnson.
out. Yes. Kelsey, Lane Johnson, get out. Jack Driscoll, go build your trade capital.
That's right.
Juergens. Landon Dickerson, who's a 2-time Pro Bowler in 3 years, you're out. Yeah. You get out too.
Right. No, I agree. Agreed.
So at some point, or if you look at the score and you see Dallas is up 35-0 in the first quarter, then you can take
which
them
is
out.
what I expect to happen.
Me too. Yeah. So that's the thing. I hope to get the players out as early as possible on that field in those conditions.
And the flip side, if they're down 21-0 too, it just wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah. Let Van Sumeren run the defense. Let him
give me the green dot.
Yeah, let him play.
I agree.
This next question's kind of a I don't know how to really phrase it. Not a question I'm looking forward to, I guess I should say. What Eagle are you most looking forward to?
Well, again, I'm going with Swift. I need a running back. I need him to run for 140 yards this week. I know last week he looked pretty good, early on, but then I don't know what they were doing. Yeah. Then they started saying, hey, let's just run our quarterback up the middle. Made no sense at all.
Yeah. I guess I'd say that question's an oxymoron because this Eagle most looking forward to, I'm not looking forward to anybody. I'm not looking forward to watching any of this game. I'm very mad. I'm not excited. I'm bummed. I'm dreading this game, truthfully, because of the stadium and the weather and the conditions of the game and the sense of situation of the game. Dallas, we got to watch that game now. And what's the score there?
Right.
You know what I'm excited for? I'm sorry. This is going to break that little bit. I am excited to watch the Rams game. They're playing the Niners, and Carson Wentz is starting. So I will be watching that game.
Yes, we will. Finish. Okay.
I'm very excited to watch that game.
Late start?
Same game, same time as us, so we'll have to have it on a side.
Well, that's
TV.
another thing I can't stand is the fact that we're playing late again. I mean,
I know it's horrible.
Just, why? Just why are we playing late? Just play them at 1:00.
I know.
Play them at 1:00. Everybody gets the same fair shot.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Why go late?
Yeah.
Throw a few of them crappy games on late, but get everybody early. Because the more time to rest for the next week's playoff games. I don't understand this whole TV thing. It's just driving me nuts. I can't believe there's a Sunday night game either. Or is there not?
Is there?
I don't know.
I don't think there is.
I know there's 2 Saturday games. Normally, they'll kill the Sunday night because of
playoff.
Right. You don't want anybody to have an advantage or disadvantage.
Sunday. No, there is a Sunday night game. Bills and Dolphins, which is a big game in terms of AFC seeding.
Now if the Bills or Dolphins, say the Bills get to play next Monday night, and the Dolphins have to play Saturday morning on the playoff.
It's a big
You're talking
difference.
a short
Yeah.
game, short time.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're playing at, but it's just something that in the old days the NFL would not tinker with that.
Yeah.
Everybody played on Sunday. That's it.
Dad, what do you have as the matchup of the game? I guess you're going with the running
I'm going to
back.
say that the offensive line versus the Giants' worst running team, one of the worst, 29th, I think, for running defense.
So their running defense
30th,
is
maybe?
29th. You're
Yeah,
right.
29th. So, I mean, again, the Cardinals were 39th last week, and there's only 32 teams in the league, so we couldn't run the ball at all. So, you know what I'm saying.
I mean, we didn't even have the chance to run the ball because our defense is so bad.
It was so bad.
We couldn't even run the ball because
No.
they kept the ball the
No.
whole game.
Yeah.
I
I know.
can't.
But when we got the
I am
onside
so
kick,
mad.
we got the onside kick at the 45-yard line. Get me a touchdown. You only got to go 45 yards. Then you're daring them to score a touchdown, and something may have changed.
Just hate the
But
Cardinals.
we kick a field goal, and they got to score a touchdown.
I just hate the Cardinals
Yeah.
so freaking
Well,
much now. I'm so
yeah.
mad. I'm more. They might have jumped. There might be up there now. You know, obviously, the star
Yeah.
team down in Texas will always
Right.
be number one most
Sure,
hated.
sure.
But, you know, Green Bay is always probably going to be towards the top
Seattle.
of my most hated. But yeah, Arizona, they're probably. I mean,
Well, the 49ers have kind of inched up there against
They
us,
have
too.
too.
Not because we never play them really
it's
that
funny
much.
because I said it last time we played, or record a podcast about the Giants. I don't hate the Giants. I don't hate New York.
Right.
Maybe it's because I didn't grow up in Philly. I know that's a big thing. Well, if you grow up
Yeah.
in Philly, you know, you learn. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's cool, but we beat them all.
But
the
it's only a
time.
rivalry when you lose.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I feel like we haven't lost
35
much
and 20
in
is a
while.
pretty good record in the last 20 years.
That is true. You'd
So-
think it'd be more. You think it'd be a better record against them, but that's
Well,
weird.
it took us a long time to get the all-time series.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
We're building
forever.
on that.
Took forever, but you know, I felt like we beat Manning all the time. But I just don't hate. I don't hate New York as much as I
Right.
should. I hate the Cardinals.
Right.
I hate Green Bay. Like
Right.
I can't. You know, and then the star in Texas. We don't
No,
talk
I
about
hear
that.
you.
My matchup of the game. I don't know. Just I say it every week. Sack the quarterback. No one can sack the quarterback.
Please.
Why can't we tackle the freaking quarterback?
Right.
I don't. It's hard. I listen to it all day, and we invest all this money and all these draft capital in these guys, and now we can't get there. But it's, you know, there's another side to it. It's not their fault because no one on the back end's covering anybody.
Right.
So, you know, the ball gets out in 2 seconds. There's no possible way to get to
One
the quarterback
second,
that
yeah.
quick.
No.
You know, so
Last
I just
week
don't.
was the bad part.
It's the matchup
Yes.
is the defense against the fans.
Right.
Because the defense hates us. I don't know.
Yeah,
They don't want
defense
us to
against
be.
this podcast.
I guess so. I'm starting a war because this
Yeah.
defense is so atrocious. It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's the worst I've ever seen on an Eagles team, which is
Yeah.
crazy because we're 11-5,
Right.
right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
11-5. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
It's the worst defense I've ever seen on the Eagles. On an
You
Eagles
know,
team.
it's funny
in
too
my
because you
life.
think after a few of those losses, the early last month, you know, and then
Aren't you mad?
you know, aren't you mad? Exactly. You know, like, and you're expecting someone to step up other than Hassan Reddick,
yeah.
and it's
Played
just not
well.
happening. I mean,
You got spanked by San Fran. You got spanked by Dallas. You got humiliated by Seattle. You beat New York, but you by the skin of your teeth.
Yeah.
You got absolutely double embarrassed, humiliated. Just ran out of the stadium
Right.
against Arizona. Aren't you mad?
Yeah, well,
is there no one angry? Is there
Right.
no one like I see them in their interviews and they're you know it's tough. You know we're just not playing well, dude. Like, can you cuss? Can you get mad?
Right.
Like, can you scream?
yeah.
Like, there's no fire. There's no
Can
passion.
you throw somebody down on the ground?
There's no one on this defense at all. Can you maybe grab a face mask just to get a little angry? I don't know.
Well, it's funny because we
Just
were
do
blowing
something.
Blankenship up. We were talking Blankenship up, and then, you know,
He hasn't played well
it's been
recently
a few
either.
games. You know, he
He's
was
gone
our
downhill.
he was our hitter. And then he got burned on one of the cuts last week. And,
Yeah, the New York
you
one.
know, he got a whiff, and then of course the big touchdown again in New York, which
yeah,
really was the one that let them back in the game. I mean,
it was a
you
bummer.
know,
That was a bummer.
after the fumbled kickoff, you think, okay,
yeah,
that's an
Fluke.
8-yard touchdown drive,
Yeah.
15-yard touchdown drive, but then they get a
Yeah,
70-yarder right after we scored. Ugh.
yeah, he's been disappointing. It is a bummer to see.
Yeah.
There's no solution. I don't see any solution on the horizon either. There's
Right.
no, you know, I know we're getting Zach Cunningham back. Big whoop. I mean,
Right.
it's not like we were blowing doors off teams when he was playing.
Right.
You know,
I mean, it's
You
going
know,
to be nice to have him back. But
it's hard because, you know, before the San Fran game, we were I believe the 6th defense in the league.
right. Overall.
Since then, we're the last.
Right.
So I don't know where that averages out to. I don't know
Yeah.
what number we are technically now. I mean, in yards per game, we're
Oh,
23rd.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be.
we were 6th at one point.
Well, it's going to be score. It's going to be
Yeah.
points allowed. It's going to be
Well, I mean,
yards rushed against.
We've dropped completely out of the top 10 and everything.
Oh, easy.
But let me just say that. So we were 6th before the San Fran game. Since then, we are 32nd in almost every category, I would say. But it's just, can you get? Well, there's no solution. There's no. I just don't. I don't see any. We'll get Slay back. We weren't great with Slay before, anyways.
Right.
Cunningham coming back.
That's nice.
That wasn't that much of a.
Yeah.
It didn't happen when they were hurt. Slay's only been hurt
2-3 weeks,
2-3 games.
Yeah,
I think he missed 2 games actually.
This will be the third, I think.
Oh yeah, the third. No, I think this will be the fourth. He did miss the Seattle game, didn't he?
Yeah.
Ringo started
because that came out of nowhere.
But he was playing for the San Fran and Dallas game. He was playing with Buffalo. Yeah. It's not like
that's when Bradbury was historically terrible.
I can't even.
Yeah.
That's a whole. I mean,
I know
all 92 yards on that touchdown drive against Seattle.
Every pass, yeah.
Against him.
Yeah.
Is there no one? Maybe I don't know how the NFL works, but you would think there'd be a person. They have all these guys on these teams, on staff. I mean, sorry,
sure.
They have all these guys in staff, and they have all these players who are on the sidelines, who aren't on defense, aren't playing. Can someone go to one of the coaches or call into the headset and go, "Hey, they've gone 40 yards so far, and all 6 passes have been against Bradbury. Do you think we can maybe just let's try it out, play and just take it out? Let's try for a play to take him out. Let's just try. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
Put
in Fletcher Cox and let him play.
Is there no one saying? I don't understand. Is there no one there to say, hey, he just got targeted 9 times out of 9 times,
and they're 9 for 9. Yeah.
And I just maybe we should just take him out for a play, just a play. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think they did.
No, in Seattle, no.
Okay. I mean, I'm talking last couple of games.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think there's been a little bit of rotation, yeah, but no, they didn't in the Seattle game. They let him get just destroyed down the field, and they let him on fire. They took out a match in the middle of Lincoln.
Tied his shoes together. Yeah,
sorry, they were in Seattle in the middle of.
Yes, they were.
I don't even know their stadium name.
Reliant?
In the middle of that field, they took out a match, poured gas on him, and lit him on fire. Yeah. And the team and the defensive coordinators just went, "Oh well, that's a bummer." Yeah. Anybody got any marshmallows? Yeah. I just can't with this.
They tied his shoes together.
So, yeah, the matchup of the game is this. I don't know. The matchup of the game is the defense against my podcast, our podcast here.
Well, I've never seen a defense do what they've done from, like you say, drop in the numbers like they have.
It's insane.
I mean, I know it's a confidence level. And then, of course, they change defensive coordinators. And I don't know if
Sean Desai.
Desai is in there giving them the wrong codes when Matt Patricia's calling them out. But
it's a bummer.
I don't know what's happening there, but Patricia's been even worse.
It's crazy how it got worse.
Well,
I mean, it makes sense.
You don't have to say it. You could see it. I mean, you could just see it.
I mean, it makes sense. You take away a coach and you put a new one in, and you take off a Band-Aid and throw some plaster on the wound.
All right, well, let's wrap up this positivity corner and move on to the next.
Let me just say the Giants team stats. I know we talked about it, but
that's all right.
Yards per game, offensively, they're 30th, 300 yards a game. Passing yards, 32nd, 161. If they go off on 300 for us, I'm going to lose my freaking mind, dude.
Right.
Rushing yards, they're 16th with 110 a game. Points per game, 30th. Bottom 3,
right?
14.9 a game, and third down percentage, they're last. They're second to last. They're 31st. 29.5% of the time they get it. Unfortunately, our defense is 46.6, and it's 30th. So we'll see how that goes. But defensively, they're 27th in yards per game, 379.5. Passing yards, they're 20th, 233.2. Rushing yards, they're one of the worst.
Yes,
they're one of the worst in the league. They're 29th at 132.4. But the Cardinals were 32nd, so I don't know.
That's right.
Points per game, they're 28th. They allow 24.8, and third down percentage, they're actually really good. They're 7th. That is kind of it's always kind of funny to see their bottom 10 or 12 and everything, and then their top 10 in third down percentage.
So what that tells me, if that you're a bad team like that, that tells me first and second down, you're not getting a third down.
That's true. There's probably not a lot of third
driving down
downs.
the field on them. That's what it tells me.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's funny for us. It's like, why go, first and second down, just throw the ball into the ground because you're guaranteed a third down first down.
I don't know how many times in the last month
incredible.
I've seen
it's incredible.
Even third and 8, third and 10, and third and 12. Yeah. They're getting it third and 14, just getting it like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Guys are playing 40 yards off the line.
Or they get to 4th and 2 or 4th and 1. And
right.
you're like, well, now you can't stop that because you just lost all your motivation. But Okay, moving on. I have another thing I want to talk about real
Okay.
quick. Concerns. I mean, I just sat here and ranted for 10 minutes about my concerns, but Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, are you concerned about the fact that, people are saying the defense is gassed, the defense looks tired, which is hard for me to hear because they're playing in a professional football league. What do you mean you're gassed? What do you mean you're tired? Like, this is your job, this is your career, and they're talking about Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. They're losing snaps. They're not playing as much because they're tired.
Yeah, well,
and it's
dude, this is something you hear every year, especially for a college kid who's a rookie. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, and in the beginning of the season, yes, they do start out, but there were a few games that they played. Oh my gosh, 90 snaps, which is unheard of.
No, they were probably playing like 50 or 60.
Right,
Like,
but that's still
they're
that's
not. The defense is doing 90.
that's
but they're
still a
not
lot.
doing
And
that
it seemed to me like, and it's not just a physical thing. I believe it's going to be a mental thing. And
Yeah.
I think because of how well Carter played early and how Davis fed off of Carter, and Davis himself is a great player, I think they just got a little too much pressure put on them from the coaches and leaned on them instead of the veterans leaning on, helping them out and encouraging them. So, I mean, yes, I know we're not on 2 days rest now. We're past all that gauntlet. We're past all the Monday night, Sunday, all that nonsense.
Yeah.
We're back to once a week. I know they didn't practice till Thursday this week, right? They took off many days this week from what I think I heard.
They didn't practice Tuesday. They practiced Wednesday. Okay. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But Wednesday would be a walkthrough.
And that was a home game, so it wasn't like they've traveled. So they had off Monday, Tuesday. They had a good resting time. So, I mean, they should be back. Their legs shouldn't be heavy anymore.
Yeah.
At this point of the season. And if not, and I heard one of the guys say it on one of the pods that I listened to out of Philly, where's the conditioning coach? Where's the conditioning for this team?
Yeah.
And we've seen that happen before where we had condition teams that were bad when we used to have a lot of injuries many years ago. We've had a lot of injuries this year, but that's because you're pulling people off the street.
Yeah, I think I saw today Fletcher Cox is playing 175 more snaps than Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. And it's just
Cox has been amazing.
I mean, he's been incredible, and it's just a bummer because this dude's old as heck.
Yes. Well, so's Milton Williams. He's played out his nose, and no one even knows his name, but he's played great this year.
The problem is the stats don't come. He only has one sack.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry. He
Right.
doesn't have one
Right.
sack now because the Cardinals play where he forced a fumble was a run.
Right.
A design run.
Right.
So
but he's played well.
He has half a sack on the season now, which is a bummer.
Yeah. But he's a defensive tackle, so we're not looking for 10 sacks.
I need 2, though.
It'd be nice.
Yeah,
No, it'd be
just a
nice.
bummer,
Carter's what, 5.5 now?
I think he's got 6 now.
Nice.
Davis has 2.5.
Yeah.
But the problem is that 2.5 was in the first 6 games.
I know. Well, he picked one up last week. So
Carter did, but not Davis.
No, Davis is. But he's had some good tackle behind line. But anyway, that's what we need to happen.
It's just been a disappointment.
It has been. The whole defensive line has been. But maybe I know the Giants' line's not that good either. But
that's what we said last time.
I agree.
I just
saying it every week.
That's the problem. Is I can't get excited. There's no silver. There's no saving grace. There's no. Oh well. The Giants.
At least
the Giants' offensive line's terrible. They didn't last time. They got 1 sack.
Yeah.
They're not.
Even the Cardinals line, which is not good at all.
No, not good at all.
And I was watching a game. We weren't even close for the most part.
Truthfully, it's a bummer to say this. They're not good. It's not a good defense. I don't know if it's the play
scheme,
calling.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the scheme.
Right.
I hope it's not the players. Pray to God it's not the players because
Right.
we just invested so much in this
Right.
Georgia team.
Yes.
It's just a bummer, man.
Yeah.
It's not a good defense right now, and it probably won't be a good defense the rest of the season unless a miraculous turnaround, which would be probably the greatest story in NFL history. If we were to win the Super Bowl, this is the greatest, probably the greatest season book in NFL
and
history.
The credit would all go to the podcast. So
of course it'd be us because we started this year. No.
They started listening to us.
All right. Injury report real quick. Darius Slay and Devontae Smith both out due to knee and then ankle. We kind of expected that one. We need them to get ready for the playoffs. We need them to get better. So no point in bringing them back to play at the Met. This terrible, disgusting
Let me interrupt
stadium.
you real quick. Slay. I'm sorry, not Slay. Devontae Smith.
DeAndre Swift.
We are so lucky.
Devontae Smith. Okay.
Yes, that it was just an ankle.
Oh,
it could have been worse.
Someone should have. I mean, I don't know who called the play because you never know if it's Brian Johnson or Nick or someone. Just go slap that person.
3rd and 20.
Just
wide receiver screen.
No, running back screen to Gainwell. I can't. I just can't.
With Devontae being your big blocker.
Unbelievable that it's It's disgusting. Someone should have went and slapped.
Throw the ball downfield.
Whoever called that play needs to be punched in the face. Just real quick. Yeah. Jordan Davis, go slap that guy.
Yeah.
Hold it. You have to do it.
Hold somebody.
DeAndre Swift, he's out. He was questionable with an illness. I'm sure he'll be playing.
Yes.
He still was a limited participant today, so he practiced, but just a little illness.
Okay.
Avonte Maddox, he was a full participant with his elbow. A lot of stress going on there.
Yeah,
last
we got
week.
lucky. Yeah.
Thank God.
Thought it was his shoulder again.
Cunningham coming back from his knee injury. He'll be playing. Hassan Reddick, illness. I'm sure he'll be playing. He's a tough dude. He's like Lane Johnson. They're just tough guys. And Jordan Davis, ankle injury. He was limited early in the week. But he did practice the last few days. I believe he was a full participant. Yeah, he was a full participant, so they just gave him some extra rest. I'm sure he's good. But, Dad, do you have anything else to say about
No, I don't.
The game or the Eagles or anything?
Nope.
Okay, good. 76ers, just move on to that.
That's right.
76ers are 23-10. Not much has changed since the last time we spoke. They were 22-9 last time, or 21-9. So they've won 2, lost 1. Not much to really touch on there. Not much has changed. Bummer for the Flyers. They have lost 4 in a row. Not good to see. They're out of they're still in the playoff picture, but they're in the wild card. They're no longer in the division lead. So, I mean, they'd still be in the playoffs, but it's still a bummer to see that happen. Maybe I should stop talking about them because last time we recorded, I said, they have a 77% chance of making it, and then they dropped 4 in a row. So maybe I'm the bad luck there.
I doubt it.
They lost in overtime the other night in a shootout, which might I say, I know we're a football podcast mainly, but just to touch on some other sports. Something that soccer and hockey share in common that Steve's going to hate listening to me say this because he hates soccer, but I hate hockey, so I'm just kidding. The shootout, I just can't stand the shootout thing. Yeah. I've talked about it before. I can't stand it when a great soccer game ends in a shootout. It's just luck, really.
Right.
I mean, there's skill behind it, but it's just a skills challenge, and it's the luck of the goalie. Sweat in his eye. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the cool thing, though, about soccer, where a soccer shootout, you never know. You think, they're going to score every time, and they don't, which kind of blows you away, right?
Interesting. You'd think that they'd score 90% of the time, but really it's like 40,
it's
50.
Not that high.
It's surprisingly, but it just bothers me that, that, and I've always hated the shootout, and unfortunately it did come back to bite us last year with the Union.
Right.
They played in a great soccer game,
but they let him score
Cup
at the very end.
I know,
make it,
but they played in a great soccer game with the MLS Cup,
right?
And then they lost in a shootout. It's like, that's so stupid.
I mean, you got to finish the game though in soccer.
You just got to keep going,
especially if it's a playoff. You
just got to keep going,
championship.
And
game.
if you're tired, that's too bad. You play a professional sport. Stop being tired.
Yeah. I mean, they do play, an extra 30 minutes.
Yeah, they should play an extra hour if they have to.
Yeah.
You play until the other team. You play until you score. You're not kicking shootouts. That's like hockey. I don't get it. It's funny because I used to always think, with hockey, like, it's like soccer, 1-0, 1-1, 2-0. With a lot of hockey games this year, I've seen 6-3, 5-2, 7-1.
Oh, yeah.
I bet the under, and I lose because they go over 12 goals. And you're like, what? How? I don't know. I hate the shootout.
Pee-wee hockey?
I can't stand the shootout. But you got anything else for me, Dad?
Not really. One of the things, though, we're up to 88 subscribers, so we're looking to get to 100. So if anybody's, a regular watcher or anything, make sure you're subscribed so we can push up to 100.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes here. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe below. We'd love to see your comments. We always like commenting back. If you're an Eagles fan, we like showing love and getting love shown to us. If you're not an Eagles fan, we like smack talking.
Bring it on.
We like smack talking right back. It's all fun and in good nature. So, other than that, you can email us any questions or comments at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com if you're interested in that. But other than that, from all of us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, my name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles fly.